What's up, everybody? It's the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. Today, I am here with our intern, Dixon Massengill. He is going to be talking about the Miami scouting report. This is something that he and I kind of thought of that we were going to try to do maybe every week about the upcoming game that the Clemson Tigers are going to play. Specifically looking at what will the opposing team do to try to beat Clemson. So, we always talk about Clemson and how we think Clemson's going to win literally every single game they play. But this is going to be kind of reversing that role. And I've challenged Dixon as our intern for the show to talk more about or to look into more of the opposing team. So I hope you have a good time with it today. Probably won't be too long since it's kind of a lunchtime thing we're doing here, but we're going to look at the team as a whole, what they did last year. I'll kind of give you a little bit of an overview of the Miami Hurricanes. If you're not familiar, you probably are, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, and then we'll go into offense and defense and kind of start asking questions of Dixon. What does he think that Miami will do to try to beat Clemson and be successful in not only keeping it within the spread and beating me in Vegas, but also beating Clemson straight up. So, Dixon, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate it. I know this is your first time with us, so just relax and welcome to the show.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Well, I'm excited to have you on here, and obviously always love to talk about Clemson football. So let's get started. Miami Hurricanes. Last year they went 6-7, and it's still Manny Diaz's, second year really as a head coach, trying to get everything worked out. Has a new offensive coordinator in Rhett Lashley, who has seemed to be doing some better things for the offense there. Obviously have a new quarterback in De'Aaron King, who transferred from Houston's been doing well there. But what I looked at, so when I look at the team specifically, I think of it from a Clemson's perspective and look back at the previous team that they matched up with. I really didn't look at the Florida State game because I felt like, they actually beat Florida State last year. I believe I have it wrote down here, 27-10. So they beat Florida State last year. They actually beat Louisville last year, 52-27. So a big time win there, back-to-back wins for the Hurricanes. So my thought is, is it a big deal that they're 3-0? Well, they already beat those same teams last year, and they did it this year already. So maybe it's not that big a deal that they're 3-0. But then again, College Game Day's here. It's two undefeated teams, two top 10 teams, even though not all the teams are playing this year. But my thought is this. Miami has obviously improved, and they have improved enough to, I think, warrant a run at Clemson this year. Are you nervous about the game coming into Saturday? I know it's Friday afternoon. Are you nervous about the game going into Saturday?
See, and part of me is thinking that maybe not, but maybe. Because if you think about the two teams that Miami went to play College Game Day against, which is Florida State, Louisville, both of them aren't in the top 25. Like when Louisville played Miami, Louisville was the top 25 team. There were a lot of high expectations for Louisville with their quarterback Cunningham, and they did. I don't think they really lived up to the expectations that they were supposed to. And you think about how they've lost their last couple games, and just maybe not the team we thought that Louisville was, which would make it not look like such a great game that Miami won. And then Florida State, they blew Florida State out, which we all thought they would. So yeah, coming into this week, I think that it's definitely going to be their first real challenge with Clemson, and just seeing a pretty experienced team, and a well-coached team all around. So I definitely think it'll be a good game to watch and see how Miami does against a real road test.
I always look forward to a good game, but I know a lot of Clemson fans get on to me about that because just want to see a bunch of blowouts and win the national championship and move on to the next year. I do like college football in general, and I think that close games or tight ones, those Notre Dames of the past and Louisville of the past, those were some really good, never forget type moments. Alabama national championship, never forget type moments that I'll carry with me as a Clemson fan till I die. So talking about Miami, I look back Miami versus Louisville, and I tried to look at how did they play against Louisville. And the funny thing is, is that, yes, they did beat Louisville. Yes, they did beat them last year, but it really wasn't that pretty if you really look at it. They had they took advantage of a couple of blown plays. They had 2 passing touchdowns of 75 yards, exactly 75 yards. And then they had another touchdown of 47 yards. That was, I believe it was a rushing touchdown. So they have 3 big time plays that were touchdowns. That one of them I can remember was a pass to Knighton, the freshman running back, who basically the linebacker that was on him didn't even see him, was basically ignoring him, let him go. There was nobody over on the right-hand side. He let him go back behind the defense and just went for like 70 yards. I don't see Clemson making a ton of defensive mistakes in that sense of like giving up 75 yards twice. I don't see that. Maybe once. Maybe there is that, I love Tanner Muse, but maybe there is that Tanner Muse deep ball where he cheats a little bit too much, and they get him. Okay, I get that. Maybe that happens to Landon Sanders. Maybe that happens to Nolan Turner. But I don't see it happening 3 big giant plays. That's the first thing. The next thing is I don't see Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not going to jinx him. I know Amari Rodgers has told us don't jinx him, but I don't see Trevor Lawrence making the INT, that mistake that, Malik Cunningham has done and has continued to do this year. He seems to be not very good under pressure, and we know Trevor Lawrence is definitely very good under pressure, and he's been very accurate and hasn't thrown any interceptions this year. So will Miami need big plays like that? Do you think going into this game, Miami is looking to try to find the big home run plays, or do you think they actually could win without big home run plays?
I think they can win without big home run plays if they don't make a lot of mistakes, if they are if they're not jumping off sides or make false starts, stuff like that. No holding, stuff like that. I think they can move the ball around well, and maybe win without a lot of home run plays. But I do think some home run plays would definitely create some momentum for Miami. Because if you think about the North Carolina game last year against Clemson, where Clemson was playing North Carolina, and like one of their first drives, they threw a touchdown and it completely changed the momentum of the game. So I think that Miami, if they can get a couple good home run plays like that, it will definitely give them some momentum and make them think like, hey, we can win this game, which I'm sure they're already thinking. But yeah, I think they can definitely do it either way, I think.
Yeah, you're not going to give up the home run plays if Clemson's going to give it to you. That's my biggest thing is I don't think Clemson's going to give it to you on defense, and I definitely don't think that Trevor Lawrence is just going to give you extra possessions by turnovers either. Let's talk about more of the scouting report specifically, and I'm going to pull up kind of a screenshot here of – and, I don't know if you can see it, but basically there's a screenshot of the offensive depth chart for Miami. I got this from ourlads.com. You've got the wide receivers there, D. Wiggins, Mark Pope, and Mike Harley. You've got offensive linemen, John Campbell, Ja'Kai Clark, Corey Gaynor, and DJ, looks like Scaife. And then you've got Jared Williams, okay? And then you've got the tight ends. So I'm going to list both of these because both of these tight ends are lethal. Brevin Jordan, obviously, making his way to an all-ACC, maybe an all-American type year. And then you've got Will Mallory, who's another one who can get in the end zone for Miami as well. So 2 tight ends you got to worry about. And then De'Aaron King, obviously the transfer graduate quarterback there that's so good and good, a dual threat quarterback. And then the running backs, you've got Cameron Harris and Donald Chaney, a freshman, but kind of cut off there because I couldn't fit it on the screen. But Knighton as well, who is that's Jaylen Knighton from Deerfield Beach. He is another guy who's a big play guy. So they got a lot of big play guys in Brevin Jordan, King, Harris, Chaney, Knighton, and even Pope. I saw Pope too as well have a couple of big plays this season so far. So when you look at that depth chart, who is the guy that you feel like Miami is going to try to get the ball to the most against Clemson, and why?
I think it would have to go to maybe the tight end of the running back and the running backs, I guess. Because if you've been watching some of their games, the running backs have just been having really great games. And the tight ends, like you said, getting in the end zone, getting open, to make some really good plays there. which I think the tight ends can go underrated sometimes, and just to be thought of like to have more of a blocking presence on the line instead of actually going out making plays. So I definitely think that the tight ends and the running backs will definitely be a factor, and obviously the wide receivers. I mean, they have some great wide receivers. And in Debo, I'm
If
sorry.
you're, excuse me, if you're Brevin Jordan, who are you trying to maybe find that matchup on? Who do you think that Brevin Jordan can beat? Can he beat anybody in Clemson's secondary?
Um, that's a good question. I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Because um, I think that depending on how the game goes, I think they'll probably figure out pretty soon who they want to go up against. And I mean, I can't say for sure right now, but I definitely think that they'll probably be wanting to pick on some of those outside linebackers.
So
Maybe like the
do you think that Brevin Jordan is is a good matchup against Mike Jones Jr.?
I don't know. I mean, I think we'll find out. I think that I think it'll kind of go both ways. I mean, I think the Mike Jones will make some good plays. I think that Brevin will make some good plays. But I can't say for sure. But I think it'll definitely be a fun one to watch.
I think that when you look at Jordan, I mean, obviously he can destroy it all over the field, and he can have success against really any defender that Clemson throws at him. Landon Zanders, obviously, this is kind of his first year as a starter, so be kind of interested to see what he can do and how he can handle himself against such a talented tight end in Brevin Jordan. So I think that if I'm Brevin Jordan, I want to go up against Nolan Turner. I want to go up against Landon Zanders and really test those guys deep. I don't know if I necessarily want to go against Mike Jones because I think that they're more even in size. I guess I kind of feel like if I'm Brevin Jordan, I want to go deep and try to get that mismatch of maybe a smaller guy or maybe not necessarily height smaller, but weight smaller for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about De'Aaron King running the ball? Is he someone who you think they're going to try to run the ball up the middle more, run the ball to the outside? Do you think he's going to try to go after a certain player like with his feet and try to maybe go to the left side more than the right side? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Derek King is definitely a dual threat quarterback, a true dual threat quarterback. And I mean, we've seen that he's used his feet, he's used his arm, and that's something that Clemson hasn't seen a lot of this year. I think, and they haven't seen really a true dual threat. I mean, all the quarterbacks they've played have used their feet, but I think that King can definitely use his feet in more than one way, and I think it'll be interesting to see how see some design scrambles maybe to one side or the other, and let him kind of read the field, survey the field, see if he has any receivers open, or if not, just tuck it and run with it because we've seen his running ability, and I think that he can definitely make some guys miss, especially some of those outside linebackers, like just the one-on-ones. Because if you get a corner on a wide receiver and have your wide receiver block in the corner, and then have your tight end keeping the tight end and the O-line keeping the D-line away from you, and it's just one-on-ones, I think King can definitely win those and definitely create some damage there.
So now we've talked about Jordan, we've talked about King. Obviously, you've got running backs to worry about. Cameron Harris, he is a guy who had 114 attempts and 576 yards for 5 touchdowns. DJ Dallas was really the guy that was kind of, his go-to guy or the number one running back last year. So Harris is going to be the number one running back this year. Do you think that Harris is going to have any success? I mean, it seems like a lot of Clemson fans think, well, take the defensive line. The defensive line is probably the biggest strength maybe in the nation. So I think at first glance you think, well, they're not going to be able to run the ball at all against Clemson. But then again, Virginia seemed to have success against Clemson. So do you think that Miami can have the same success? Because when I actually went back and looked at Louisville, they actually, outside of those big home run plays, it took them that they did not have very good success third and short, second and short with running plays. So I kind of saw some glimmer of hope for Clemson in locking them down if Louisville could lock them down in the run. But then again, I saw kind of some doubts with Clemson versus Virginia.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see the adjustments that Venables has made this past week. Just knowing that yes, Miami has some good runners that can run the ball, but then kind of looking back at your Virginia game and being like, okay, so running the ball might have been an issue for us. What are we going to do to fix that? Coming into a game where they have quarterbacks that can run, and then they have running backs that can run. So I think that the D-line, they will definitely be making some adjustments to the D-line as they see fit to try to stop that run and the dual threat. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that we definitely have a good chance with our D-line and secondary to kind of keep the run at bay, not let those home run plays go. So yeah, I think that'll be good. I think we have a good shot there at keeping them at bay with the run.
Well, we're talking about Clemson's defense so far, so let's switch over to Miami's defense specifically. And I mean, I think you've done great about talking about Clemson needs to remember Brevin Jordan, remember De'Aaron King, remember Cameron Harris. Let's go to defense and look at, from a Miami's perspective, who is their current best player? Because I know Gregory Rousseau, their top defensive end, is kind of, opted out because of COVID and other reasons. So they don't have their stout defensive end there. Some would probably say Quincy Roche or maybe Zach McLeod. Who do you think is maybe a top player for them, or somebody that they think that they can, have success against Clemson?
Yeah, I think you're right about Zach McLeod, and I think it'd be interesting to see how both of the linebackers kind of react to Travis Etienne and our Clemson's lethal running game, because we know that Travis Etienne is a beast. I mean, he can run the ball. He will run the ball down your throat. He will run it all over the place. And both of those linebackers have good experience, I think, and I think that they can slow Etienne down. They may not stop him all game long, but I think that they can definitely prevent Etienne from just absolutely running away with it. So I think it'll be good to watch the Miami secondary and their linebackers and see how they do.
Yeah, I've got McLeod circled. He's a senior, and then Roche is really just transferred from I want to say James Madison. I can't remember exactly where he transferred from, but I don't even know if I put the note down on that. But so he is he's let's see, from Temple. I said James Madison, but from Temple, up in the Northeast for sure. So you've got him, but so do you feel like that Miami is going to have more success stopping Clemson's passing game or stopping the run? If you're Manny Diaz, do you say, hey, first priority is to stop Travis Etienne, or first priority is to lock down the wide receivers and Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I think definitely stopping the run would be a huge thing, because Clemson does rely on the run a lot. I mean, Etienne's put up numbers that can show that. So I think that, and I mean, Miami has a really good D-line. I mean, it's top 15 or 20 in the nation. And they've got that turnover chain, I mean, they're going to be wanting to sport that around. So I think that if Miami is able to stop the run, it will definitely take away a lethal part of Clemson's offense in Etienne or Lynjay Dixon, one of those two guys, because they have been all over the place. But I also think that watching Etienne in the pass game could also be a thing to watch, because you saw that a little bit last week against Virginia. So watching Etienne and the running backs and the running game, but then also maybe some of those short flat routes to some of the running backs will also be pretty important to watch.
I like that you mentioned about the fact that Etienne is so versatile, because he's not just only a running back, and he's shown that this year for sure already. He showed that last year, and that's kind of been something he's really continually tried to work on as he develops. And I got circled Bubba Bolden, because it seemed like that Tutu Atwell for Louisville tried to find him and exploit him whenever there were opportunities. Al Blades Jr., great defender there. He's actually a junior as well, but I would say that if you could find the safety Bubba Bolden, number 21, I think that Amari Rogers can exploit him. I think that maybe I know that just Frank Ladson can exploit him. Maybe we can see a Joseph Ngata sighting this game. You know, he's been out with kind of that ab. His abs have been hurting him, and really hasn't been used much this season. So it's been kind of a concern and some grumblings from Clemson fans. You got a 5-star wide receiver that really hadn't seen much of. But I feel like that if you look for Bolden, 21. Again, if you're a Tiger fan, think about that. Let's flip over to the special teams unit, and then we'll finish up for the night. But I saw Miami's kicker, Jose Borregales, kick a 57-yard field goal against Louisville. He was very, very close to being at midfield at that point. Obviously there's the 10 yards in the end zone, so he was a little bit past the 45-yard line as he kicked that field goal, which was amazing to see him kick it. But does that worry, or I'm not going to say worry because you're from a Miami perspective, but how do you feel do you think Miami is going to feel better knowing that they can get to basically a little bit past midfield and kick a field goal if they have to?
Yeah, I think that definitely would bring a Miami fans some little bit of joy knowing that their kicker can, hit some super deep shots. And I think that's good, especially if you're driving and you get stopped, you lose your tempo, and you need points, like maybe right before halftime, just to get the score closer, depending on what the score is. But just to be able to set up, have a really good field goal target line, an easy line to get to, and just to be able to get some extra points there if they need it. Because I think that they will definitely need it at some point against Clemson. And if they're not having their way getting into the end zone, then I think field goals will definitely come in handy.
All right, so I'm going to get your pick against the spread because, that's what we do. It's very popular. And obviously, I'm hoping that you, even though you're on the scout team for us, looking at the opposing team and try to figure out, what the opposing team can do to beat Clemson. I know that you're wearing orange, and orange, you bleed orange. So they right now, and let me double check with Odd Shark because I want to make sure I get you the right spread. Last Monday night when we did the show, the Odd Shark spread was 14 points for Clemson. Let me double check and see what they have up for Clemson Miami again. And let's see. We're looking at a 14-point still. Okay, so can Clemson or will Clemson cover the spread and beat Miami by 14 points, or by more than 14 points?
I think that they can. I think that they have a good shot at doing that. Taking advantage of the weak spots they find in the defense. I think that Clemson's got the defense to hold Miami for the most part at bay. And I think that Clemson's going to put up some good numbers, put up some good points. So I think that's definitely where I'm going to go, and I think that Clemson can definitely cover that.
Well, that's what everybody else picked on our show. We did a hammer lock where we all pick all three. All three of us picked the same team, and we do expect Clemson to, I guess you could say, rebound. A lot of fans want them to quote unquote rebound. I guess it's kind of feel like they're playing with a little bit more fire, play with a little bit more passion, get after the ball. Really, passion and fire really comes from a defensive standpoint, I believe, from a fan's perspective. One, not allowing a team to have 400 plus yards total on the defense. That's goal number one for Clemson and Brent Venables. But the other thing too is to get to that quarterback, and I think Clemson will have a success because Louisville had success getting to the quarterback. So. Big time matchup coming this weekend. Looking forward to it. Late night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. College game day is going to be there, although not all the fans will be there. But hopefully, as the year goes on, Clemson will be able to allow more fans to attend the games. But I hope you enjoy watching it. And before the game, don't forget that we are doing a kind of a pre-game preview show with the Philadelphia Clemson Club on their Zoom call. So go check it out. It's on our Facebook page. We've got a link there. There's an event there that you can say whether you're going to attend or not. You can log in with the link and you can be a part of our kind of a tailgate show at 6:45, just right before the game. We'll be talking about Clemson versus Miami, a lot about what we're talking about today, but me and Alan will be on there with the Philadelphia Clemson Club, so we're excited for that. But again, Intern Dixon, thank you so much for joining us. I plan on having you weekly. We'll see how it goes. If work gets too busy, might not be able to do it every week, but you're going to be our kind of our scout team guy. What do you think?
That sounds good. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate the research that you did on Miami. And again, I hope that your prediction is correct and Clemson walks away with a win, big time top 10 win, and continues to roll towards their next national championship.